The four lords in Resident Evil Village has been shrouded in mystery, but also exposed in many highlights, with the tall lady Alcina Dimitrescu being the vampiric tyrant-like stalker that we'll face in her castle.
So we finally meet.
To Donna Beneviento and her creepy doll Angie.
He's away!
And the merman gone wrong Salvatore Moreau.
My daughters and I shall deliver to you.
But out of the four lords in RE Village, one has been theorized to have some questionable allegiance. A character who was given this quote to describe him. So which is it really? Is Karl Heisenberg a friend or foe? And who exactly is he? And what are his concept and development designs inspired from? And even his name Heisenberg bears a lot of connection to some real-world applications and a popular mainstream media character.
What the fuck is this?
So with so much to unpack and discuss in regards to this character, let's go ahead and cover Karl Heisenberg in Resident Evil Village.
Took your damn time.
Because upon first looking into this character, he instantly bears a lot of resemblance to the popular character Van Helsing, in which in that movie, he deals with werewolves, vampires, and many other monsters, similar to the theme that we've seen so far in Resident Evil Village. Because if we break it down, his attire and style is almost a beat-for-beat copy of Van Helsing. Though in that movie, Van Helsing was a good guy. So would this translate with Karl Heisenberg? Again, making that connection to this image of him being a friend or foe. Because upon further analysis of all the footages that we've seen of him so far, he's only acted hostile towards our main protagonist, Ethan Winters, showing no indication of him being that ally that this photo may have insinuated him to be.
When you're whining, we're almost there.
Anyways, besides his overall appearance and design stemming from the likes of Van Helsing and the long history of Dracula movies, how does this play a role in his character motive in Resident Evil Village? Because one, we can safely assume at this point that Karl Heisenberg is this larger-than-life Beastman, who's able to lead and control these Lycan-like monsters around him. Is almost a nod back again to Van Helsing and how he turned into a werewolf Beastman as well, but minus a large hammer that Heisenberg wields. So with all that discussed so far, Karl Heisenberg is for sure not just a simplified character that takes the trope designs from the popular movies. Because in all honesty, this image right here of him and his name Heisenberg has a large impact on his overall character motive.
What the fuck is this?
Because when we hear the name Heisenberg, one of the more popular assumptions is that we think of Walter White from the highly acclaimed TV series Breaking Bad.
Heisenberg.
Which on a quick note, we will connect Walter White to Karl Heisenberg in some way in this video. But before we do that, we have to make another correlation to this Beastman character of Resident Evil Village, which is with this true-to-life German theoretical physicist and Nobel Prize winning scientist, Werner Karl Heisenberg, who was famously known for his discovery of the uncertainty principle, which states that the particle's position and momentum cannot be known or measured at the same time. Or in other words, one could measure a particle's speed or momentum, but not its exact location, but also one could know the particle's location, but not its momentum or speed. So in layman's terms, if we were to try to pinpoint a particle's exact location, which we could say would be point A, that particle's actual location will be different and would be known as location B, distorting our perceived assumption of what we actually thought would be the logical location of the conclusion.
What the fuck is this?
And then we have the correlation with Walter White's version of Heisenberg, which in summary had this overqualified chemistry teacher become a drug kingpin. Two polar opposites of Walter White's ego. But this is why the series Breaking Bad was a great show, because one would assume that Walter White would have a linear transition of going between an average law-abiding school teacher to becoming an evil drug-producing murderer, which is the exact opposite, because in real time, the character Walter White or his alter ego Heisenberg becomes interchangeable from moment to moment, never giving us a full-fledged linear transition between the two characters, but living both their lives simultaneously.
You're goddamn right.
Never truly knowing their moral compass at a given time, having that mixture of regret empathy, and caring for those near him, but at the same time mixing in with his heinous crimes that he commits as Heisenberg. So where does this lead us now with Karl Heisenberg from Resident Evil Village, and how does this even connect him? Well, if we look at both the physicist Heisenberg and Walter White Heisenberg, there is a constant that repeats itself when trying to conclude their overall message, which is we never know their true location, measurement, compass, or direction, which now brings us back to RE Village Karl Heisenberg and the perceived notion of his true allegiance, because is he a friend or foe? What is his true moral compass, and what direction does his intention lean him to be? Placing this character in ambiguity and mystery, because I'd like to believe that somehow, some way, he does have some strong feelings against some of the other house lords in Resident Evil Village. A good example of this was with Alcina Dimitrescu and how she describes her brother Heisenberg in a less than favorable light, mentioning him as a fool or deeming Heisenberg's game as idiotic.
Escaped, that fool Heisenberg.
You escaped my little brother's idiot games, did you?
This, of course, can be safely assumed that Karl Heisenberg may see Alcina Dimitrescu in a similar fashion, and if we listen closely during the Four Lords meeting, we have both Heisenberg and Lady Dimitrescu pleading their opposite viewpoints on how to handle Ethan Winters, which I can assume that would be part of this ceremony that Mother Miranda wants to happen.
Where? You mean you'll screw around with it in private? Where's the fun in that? Give them to me, and I'll put on a show that everybody can enjoy.
Oh, so gauche. What do we care for bread and circuses?
Anyways, with all that we've discussed so far, we can safely assume that the ambiguity of the character Karl Heisenberg may be played out, possibly having Ethan Winters lower his guard to some extent when dealing with him, but in the end could possibly be a foe, whether that be due to some unforeseen circumstance, due to a new strain keeping the Four Lords of RE Village in the tight grasp of Mother Miranda, or maybe Heisenberg really truly is a murky character that may appear to have some inklings of helping Ethan, but in actuality has a darker and manipulative side to him overall.
When you're whining, we're almost there.
Anyways, as we head towards the end of the video, I just want to break down on the physical and supernatural-like abilities that Heisenberg has, because as far as we know, we can conclude that he is the Beastman who is wielding that large hammer. This of course would have him as a supposed alpha of this werewolf Lycan-like monstrosities that we see with these clips. Which could suggest that he may have some type of dominant strain, or maybe a plaga that allows him to take the lead with these Lycan monsters, similar to what we've seen from the past Resident Evil games and movies. But also another ability that Heisenberg has portrayed, which was his ability to manipulate objects around him, making it seem to levitate in the proximate area.
Let's see what you're really made of, Ethan Winters.
Because could this supernatural looking like ability play homage to Werner Karl Heisenberg's theory of uncertainty, where all the particles that surround the RE Village Heisenberg is immeasurable, and through some engineered work would allow him to have some type of ability that helps him control said particles around him. Anyway, so in conclusion, the character Karl Heisenberg can be traced back to the theoretical physicist Heisenberg and Walter White Heisenberg with the way he's portrayed in ambiguity. Also, his overall concept design and appearance takes direct homage from the classic Dracula and Van Helsing movies, which is perfectly fitted with the overall aesthetic and theme that we've seen in RE Village so far, with the contrasting enemies of Lycans and the portrayed vampires of the likes of Alcina Dimitrescu and her daughters. So overall, we can only deduce from what we've seen so far from Karl Heisenberg, but once Resident Evil Village is released, then I will be doing a more in-depth analysis on this character, which would reveal his true allegiance and showcasing all of his possible mutations.
What the fuck is this?
and we'll dissect all of his character motives and see how that plays in the overall plot in Resident Evil Village. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this pre-release character analysis of Karl Heisenberg, and much more to come in the near future. Anyways, as always, you guys have a great rest of your day, and this is Hey DeVuH, and I'll see you guys on the next video.
No way!